Well, speaking of banks, two-thirds of South Africans expect a full transition to digital banking in the next 5 years. That's according to a new report by Discovery Bank titled The Future of Retail Banking in South Africa. And of course, it puts the spotlight on customers' point of view. Discovery Bank's Akash Dowra joins me now to tell us more. Akash, thank you so much for your time. Quite excited to hear more about this report, talking more about the future of, banking, particularly in South Africa. What has it revealed to you so far?
Good morning, Tumelo, and I'm really glad to be here, so thank you for having us. I think when we started the survey, we really wanted to look at what consumers' view on banking is. There's lots of surveys and lots of reports out there in terms of the innovation that digital banks have made and how they've transformed the industry, but what do consumers see? And what we see, especially in South Africa, I think, is a massive shift to digital. I think a little bit of it was definitely correlated to COVID and people seeing the need for digital banking and seeing the convenience of digital banking. And the survey that we conducted at the beginning of the year really looked at where do South Africans see banking in the next currently, and how do they see banking evolving in the next 5 to 7 years? And the results are surprising. I mean, 86% of clients currently do their day-to-day banking digitally. And when we ask them in the future, where do you see banking is? Like you said, 60% don't think they'll need a branch in the next 5 years, and almost 70% of clients believe that they won't need, that banking will be fully digital. And you can see that actually consumers are a lot further ahead on the digital curve than even banks are. Because when we looked at how that transforms into the current circumstances, you see that people still need to go into branches, as an example, to open accounts or to conduct certain transactions.
Right. I mean, I was just mentioning to Gareth earlier on that South Africa is the third most cyber-attacked country in the entire world. With that being said, what are consumers saying about any fears that they might have with digital banking? Are they worried that their money might get lost? Are they worried about their information, getting misused or stolen? Are they comfortable with the safety of, their funds and information digitally?
I think the South African financial system is very well respected, and both internationally, but also by consumers. Consumers put a lot of trust in their banking, in their banks, and banks overall, the banking industry overall takes a lot of effort to make sure our apps are completely secure. If you look at, as an example, the Discovery Bank app, in order to onboard, you need to go through not only the facial recognition criteria systems that phones have themselves, but we have our own proprietary facial recognition criteria. In order to make transactions, when you look at it from a fraud perspective, we're able to monitor clients' behaviors and use machine learning to understand when a transaction could be fraudulent. And you can monitor those across multiple elements. You can look at where they are when they're making the transaction. What's the volume of transactions that they're making now compared to the historic average? What's the value of the transaction? Does this look suspicious? Is it to a new account? And based on that, you can actually create a much more secure environment for your client, to the extent that you could look at the cadence of how they type on a phone to understand whether this is someone else typing on their phone or them. So that kind of information is critical in terms of actually creating a much more secure environment for your client. If you look at the current situation in banking, and you think about a branch, you need to, or an ATM, you need to cover the passcode as you're putting your PIN in, or there's two double glass doors, double glass bulletproof doors in order to for you to go in to get cash. But then you're still actually exposed to the risks of carrying cash around or of your PIN being stolen. But with facial recognition, with some of the software and the anti-fraud techniques that we have, we can actually protect clients to a very large extent.
With the last few minutes I have for you, Akash, I need your perspective of this. What's interesting about this survey is that it's more from the customer's perspective, not necessarily the bank's perspective. Have you included customers, in rural parts of, South Africa? What did they have to say about the digital divide and the fact that not everyone in South Africa has access to a smartphone or even a tablet or a laptop for them to make use of digital banking, especially if the customers that you spoke to are saying that they expect a fully fledged, digital, banking system within the next 5 years?
So I think when we undertook the survey, we were very careful to make sure that we got a wide range of respondents across all demographics in South Africa. We are very careful to make sure that the survey is a representative sample of the South African demographic, and that is a combination of age, location, socioeconomic groups, income levels. We've looked at all of those criteria when determining the sample. So the results are actually very representative of the country overall. Now, when you look at the fundamentals behind it, actually, and if you think about the banking infrastructure in South Africa currently, you have just over 3,000 branches in South Africa. If you take it a bit further and you look at ATMs, you've got just over 30,000 ATMs in South Africa, but you have 22 million smartphones. And most banking apps are actually, and the Discovery Bank app, as an example, is 0 rated from a data perspective. So when you look at it from that perspective, digital banks can actually be way more accessible than the current banking system.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to me about this. It seems the future indeed is digital, and banking definitely, as our customers say, will be, of course, in the next 5 years, fully fledged digital. And it seems they're ready for it. They're open for it, and they want to do banking online. But I appreciate you, of course, the head of customer insights at Discovery Bank, Akash, Dowra, for joining me for this conversation this very morning.